And confidence really comes not from being boastful for boastful's sake, but for understanding what you bring to the table, understanding uniquely what you bring to the table. This is what I'm good at. And I'm shocked at the amount of people who have never sat down to recognize what their strengths are.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. All right, audience, do you have a secret dream? Are you dimming your light because of the fear that people will judge you for your thoughts, for your opinions, for what you really, really want to do with your life? Or maybe you're judging yourself. If you've answered yes, you are not alone. Because it was over 10 years ago when I realized while sitting in this audience listening to a motivational speaker that I wanted to be one. And oh my God, the self-talk that exploded in my head, it was not pretty. It was ugly. It was not good. It was full of judgment. You know what I'm talking about? Like, what do you mean you want to be a motivational speaker, Jody? How do you think you can do that? Do you know enough to do all of that? The self-doubt, the judgment came flooding to me. So if you are there and you have this secret dream and you are keeping it hidden because of doubt and fear, my next guest is going to share with you how to unleash that. As I began sharing my dreams and daring to take action, I met my guest, Cheldin Rumor. It was after being a guest on her digital talk show, This Is It with Cheldin, that I realized another dream I had been keeping quiet. Following Cheldin's advice, I shared the dream with her, and she and her team helped me start my own digital talk show, which led me to daring to enter the podcast world. So let me tell you a little bit about my friend Cheldin. Cheldin is the CEO and executive producer of This Is It Network. It is a global female minority-owned digital streaming platform. Rumor uses her magnetic personality, yes, unmatched energy, oh yes, and industry expertise to promote the accomplishments and ambitions of her international guests while captivating her global audience of remarkable women. She is an immigrant from Sierra Leone, West Africa, a former Division I athlete, a mother of two, an adjunct professor, a personal branding expert, and an author. Rumor works diligently to encourage her audience to no longer whisper their wishes, but to scream their dreams. Oh my God, I have chills. Every time I hear that. Welcome, Cheldin.
Hi, my friend. Oh my goodness, that was lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Thank you so much. So glad
And
to
I
be
didn't
here.
hold this up, but that's the book. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, I do have chills every time I hear you say, no longer whisper your wishes, scream your dream. I have chills. Whenever I read it, I have chills. It is powerful. And what I said was true. I had these secret thoughts and dreams like, could I really be a motivational speaker? Could I really have my own talk show? And it was you that inspired me to come back to you after you interviewed me and say, I want to do what you're doing. I literally said that to you. I said this to John. I said, I want to do what you're doing and I want you to show me how. And you did. And I
Exactly.
launched a talk show. So yeah, you got me started.
Oh, I love this. I love it. But that's what it's all about, right? And oftentimes, just having the ask and recognizing what it is and then finding the words to
Yeah,
get there. So
absolutely. Absolutely. So before we dive into how to exactly go about screaming your dream,
sure.
and your jam is personal branding.
It is.
It's
It
your
is.
personal branding. And personal branding isn't just about a business.
No.
It's personal branding. Like, who are you? And
Yeah.
what do you want? So, but before that, in
Yeah.
the introduction part of your book that I just
Yeah.
you share the story of how this idea of no longer whispering our wishes and screaming our dream came to be. Can you
Yeah.
share that little story? Because I think
Of
it'll really
course.
resonate.
Of course, as the bio mentioned, and as you know to be true, I'm an extrovert. You can often hear me before you see me. I'm loud and boisterous and overly enthusiastic about just about everything. And so there's this natural assumption that the majority of people are made that way, that the majority of people are enthusiastic about what they're doing, that are willing to share their stories and willing to share their enthusiasm. And when I started what was the production company of IG Creative, which is PR, marketing, events, and we were helping people get on, daily talk shows. We were helping them share their dreams. We were helping them promote their businesses. I was shocked as to the amount of individuals, entrepreneurs, small business owners that had amazing products, great services, but they could not find the words, right? They could not find the words to tell their customers why they should buy their chocolate chip cookie versus someone else's. They could not find the words why they should buy their necklace versus someone else's necklace. And I just found it to be tragic. It was client after client that would sit in front of me and be like, well, I kind of like it, but I don't know if anybody else will like it. And I'm not really quite sure. Or I kind of do this thing. What do you mean you kind of do it? Well, I've been doing it since when? Since 2006. When are you really going to do it, right? Like, when are you going to step into it? When are you going to find your voice to be able to do that? And I started just practicing with my clients, right? I mean, I had clients that would break out in hives. I had clients that would lose their voice. I had clients that couldn't find the words in real crucial times, right? On talk shows, when they were talking to the media or the press. And I was really committed to telling stories myself and always documented things before documenting things was a thing. I always had a camera and wanted and studied media and communication, and that was the main goal, in my youth. And so I turned the camera on my clients and I said, let's practice. Let's practice finding your voice. Okay, you're in a safe space. No one's going to hurt you. No one's going to break to weather, right? Or to traffic. We're going to talk about what makes you you and why you decided to remortgage your house for this dream. Why you decided to leave school for this dream, why you decided to quit your job for this dream, because there was a reason. And so let's try to pull it out. I sat with them, I lit up, they lit up, I shared my energy, they shared it back, their shoulders dropped, and they told me the story of grandmother's recipe, or, why they always wanted to be in the industry of now their choice. And I knew at that moment that this was it. I didn't want to do anything else. I was committed to telling stories and encouraging others to find their voice. And This Is It really was birthed from those experiences, and that one in particular. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it because you have helped so many. You have helped you what you are doing exactly obviously what you say you're doing is you're helping to amplify the voices of individuals and their brands and their products and their services, which only serves to help and support, it's a ripple effect. It goes out. So yeah, and this episode is happening on Independence Day. And it was very intentional, people, that I wanted Cheldin to be here to talk to you about Screaming Your Dream on Independence Day. Because it's not just about our country's independence, it's about yours.
It is.
Embracing who you are. So I know that there's three key ingredients to Screaming Your Dream. You also, and I'm not going to let you out of here until I say that, because another phrase that you said once to me, not to me, but in front of a room, when I hear you speak, was that especially women, I'm calling women out because that's the majority of our audience, is it's time to brag boldly. So we have screaming our dream and bragging boldly.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that I think that goes in with the first piece of confidence is key. You say confidence is key. So let's talking to confidence is key, understanding the pivotal role of that and bragging boldly. How does that fit into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are often asked to promote what we do not know. We are under the assumption, and people are under the assumption, that we know ourselves well. And when we know ourselves well or know anything well, we tend to promote it comfortably. The problem is the majority of us don't know ourselves at all, right? And so one of the examples that I always give is the orientation of things, right? When you started a new job, you get onboarded or you go to an orientation and they teach you the ways of the brand, the corporate culture, when to check in, when not to check in, right? How to use your signature in your email or the protocol in a meeting. You get all of those, what uniform you need to wear. You get all that information so you can function properly, so you can be on the floor and do the best job you can. The problem is that we don't orientate ourselves on ourselves. and we're expected to promote it. We're expected to market it. We're expected to comfortably function in it and for it, but we don't know it. And it's a very odd thing to sit with yourself about yourself, but I encourage people to do that. I mean, it's very hard to promote a product you don't know. So it makes complete sense that you're unable to promote yourself because you have no idea what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you're good at, and you haven't owned it fully. And confidence really comes not from being boastful for boastful's sake, but for understanding what you bring to the table, understanding uniquely what you bring to the table. This is what I'm good at. And I'm shocked at the amount of people who have never sat down to recognize what their strengths are. That doesn't mean that you're good at everything, but there are things that each of us are good at. And I don't think we lean into those enough. So confidence is usually stemmed from the knowledge of what it is that you bring to the table and stepping into that fully.
Well, then that leads to the second point, the second step that you always talk about, which I literally just did a post about this, but self-awareness.
Yeah.
This, because in order to have the confidence, you're saying you have to be aware. I
Yeah.
love how you said orient ourselves on ourselves. I had to do this a lot. And I want you to talk into,
Yeah.
why awareness is essential. And I
Yeah.
just shared just briefly, like for me, in order for me to really be aware of who I was and how I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up and my authentic self for me first.
For sure.
Because if I really had to quiet the noise of everybody telling me what I should do or what's not right. And one of the biggest things was I heard somebody say, well, you don't want to be a motivational speaker because that doesn't really make lasting impact change. And I bought into that for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, no,
No,
oh
no,
no. I'm like,
no.
motivational speakers make huge difference. And I like how to own the word motivational speaker. That's what I am. So
Yeah.
awareness is essential to increase your confidence. So talk a little bit about where somebody could start with that.
Yeah. And again, once we are clear, right? And what you really talked about, I think is interesting, is that this isn't a one-time scenario. This is a muscle that we work. This is a practice. Scream Your Dream for me is a practice. It's not something that you just do once and you're like, okay, I got it. It's something that you have to remind yourself of yourself constantly because that changes. The majority of people, and I say this quite often, are being treated as they were and not as they are, right? And so they started into a position, this is individuals who work in a corporate environment as a coordinator, they're now directors. People are still referring to them in the same way. They're taking notes when they should be running the meeting, right? Because they haven't reintroduced themselves to themselves, right? They don't even buy the fact that they're a director. They don't even buy the fact that they should be addressing 500 people versus just 2 people, right? They haven't owned it. And because they haven't owned it, they're not wearing it. And when they walk into the room, they can tell. The individuals can tell. And so what happens is that we must step into where we are currently. And that's about being honest where we are, knowing that we are not maybe where we want to be, but we sure as heck aren't where we were. And so celebrating where you are in this moment, being really realistic and authentic. Yes, this is who I am. This is, as a motivational speaker, this is what I currently bring to the table. Am I always growing? Am I always learning? Yes, but so many people, because they're not where they want to be, don't think they're worthy where they are. And because of that, they don't share where they are in the moment and they miss opportunities to grow. And so that confidence really comes from doing the work to understand who you are so you can tell that story with confidence.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you said it, it is a practice. All this
Yeah.
confidence is a practice. Self-awareness is a practice. It doesn't just happen. No, the quote, new level, new devil.
Yeah.
Every
100%.
time I achieve something that I was scared of, that I went for it anyway, and I did it anyway, and then I have something new I want to do, I'm like, oh God.
Oh God.
And here comes that self-doubt again, and here comes that lack of confidence. You have to go in and say, no,
Yeah.
and become aware of, and part of self-awareness is understanding why the thoughts and emotions pop into your head in the first place, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And especially when you're dreaming big. When
Yeah.
you're dreaming big and you want large things, of course, these things are going to creep in. Somebody had asked me not too long ago, you're positive all the time. How do you do it? I said, positivity is a practice for me. It's because I'm not positive all the time that you see me practicing positivity.
Right.
Because I wake up in the morning being like, how am I going to do this? I find a quote, I find a reference, I find a space, and I I share that space with as many people as possible, knowing that the majority of people equally are out here trying to find their voice, trying to find the positivity in sometimes a gray day. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I just want to hit home on that. If you really want to increase your confidence, I truly subscribe to the whole
Yeah.
become aware of why your thoughts come up when they come up, why the good ones come up and why the negative ones come up. Why some days, I just literally was journaling about this, why some days I am in total flow and
That's right.
everything's clicking and I'm pitching myself and I'm doing, and then I wake up the next day and I'm like, I can't move forward. So
I
it's,
can't.
but I understand why. So
Yes.
understanding why and giving yourself the grace
Yeah.
to learn it. So you say, explore the techniques to enhance self-awareness
Yeah.
and leverage that for your personal growth.
Leverage it.
And then
Leverage it.
confidence will come from that. Because
It
once you
will come.
understand yourself, you can stand
Absolutely.
firmly in who you are. Love
Yeah.
this.
Give
And then,
yourself a break though. You know
yeah,
what I mean, Joe? Like it's not, and oftentimes people are like, just be confident. You recognize that it's not as easy to
oh,
just be. That's not real. Slowly tiptoe into it.
yeah,
Begin to tell your story.
yeah,
Surround yourself with people that you trust, right? Begin to share your enthusiasm. Tiptoe. Okay, I shared it with that person. Not so good of an idea. Okay, I won't go back to that.
yes,
Well, I'm going to go over here. And then your confidence will build also based on the rooms that you're in. A
yeah.
lot of people are finding themselves in rooms that don't support them, and therefore they're retreating back into that shell of insecurity. Make sure that you're in rooms that best suit you and your goal towards confidence.
I recently heard you speak to a group and you said that, and that was, and that I actually took out my pen and wrote that
Yeah,
down. Because that was it was a good reminder. It was a good reminder to put yourself, am I, if it doesn't feel good and if the quote doesn't go the way you want, am I in the right room? Like get curious about it. I love that.
for sure.
I love that.
For sure.
And then you also figure out how to find practices to help you increase your confidence.
Yeah.
Awareness is essential. And then you say a plan. A plan
Plan.
is necessary.
A plan is necessary. I always use the example of being hangry in the speeches that I give and in the conversations, and that's part of it too. How do we feel when we're beyond hungry, right? We're hangry. And when you're hangry, you're snapping, you're making rash decisions. You go to the grocery store hangry, you're pulling things off the shelf, and none of it makes a meal. It's avocados and whipped cream, right? And it's an absolute mess because you're not giving yourself the room to plan. If you meal prep, it's a lot different. You're eating well, you're able to balance your budget and the meal itself. You
Yes.
know that you've shopped before and anticipate when you're going to be hungry. And personal branding is very much that thing. If I plan now, when I have that opportunity, I'm going to make the best use of it. The definition of luck is where preparation meets opportunity,
Right.
and get luckier the more prepared we are. And so
Absolutely.
when you're preparing your personal brand, when you're talking about, you're understanding what the key points of what, makes you tick. Here are my strengths. Here's who I am. Here's why I deserve it. Here is what makes me who it is that I am, getting closer to my goals. When I meet somebody on the street, when I meet them at a networking event, I'm prepared and I'm not hangry. So preparation is really, really about that, and just making sure in the back of your pocket, you're clear on who you are and what you want and why you deserve it. So you're prepared.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love you always say that. That's what you do with your students. And but before we get into those three questions
Yeah.
again, because you said them way too quickly, we're going to go back. But I want to, you're making me think like for a mom out there who's getting ready to experience the empty
Yeah.
nest season of her life,
Yeah.
and
For sure.
the plan is necessary. Become aware, because the
For sure.
biggest challenge that these moms share with me when they enter my community
Yeah.
is that they don't know who they are if
Yes.
not having their kids. They don't know who they are without their kids around all the time.
Right.
So this is what I meant at the beginning. Like personal branding isn't just about, becoming a person, an accountant,
Yeah.
becoming, reinventing yourself in the career world. Rather, it's about also reinventing yourself as a person, your personal brand. Like, who do you get to be now
Absolutely.
without your kids there 24/7? You get to be something. And again, the confidence work, the self-awareness work, and
Yeah.
having a plan is all necessary to embrace that season. And, the plan is necessary to be able to handle when you get hit by all the emotions of your kids leaving or your
100%.
parents aging and all the things that happen.
100%. And looking at it in a way of discovery, a treasure hunt, let's just
Yeah.
say.
Oh, I like
I
that.
forgot how much I liked ice cream. I forgot how much I love to go to the movies. Oh my goodness, I can now go on a walk by myself, right? I can do these things. When's the last time I got a massage? Not,
Right.
you know what I mean? Let me open the drawer full of gift cards that I've been getting over the years and take care of myself in that small way. I think, again, reintroducing yourself to yourself,
I love that.
realizing that what I liked before, I don't like anymore. Like, I don't no longer have to do that or eat that because my kids aren't in the house, right? I don't have to buy that mac and cheese anymore if that's not what I want. I can be able to get, something, truffle mac and cheese,
Yeah.
right? In that way, you can treat
Yeah.
yourself in a different way or realize, I'm no longer this. I don't want to be on any PTA committees. I don't want to do any of those extra things. I want to sit by myself and read a book, right?
Yeah.
I want to binge watch a television show, right? For the 17th time and that be okay. And
Yeah.
so I think that a lot of it has to do, especially women in general, we're not really given permission. I call it the big piece of chicken, right? Especially for those of us that
Yeah.
take care of a household. We're always giving the best cutlet. We're always sharing even when we order, we're giving the prettiest piece of pizza to someone else in our family, and we get the one with all the bubbles, or we get the one that is sliding off the plate, right? And it's like, mom's fine. She's just going to eat over the sink, right? And we're so used to doing that. And so when somebody asks us, what do you want to do? What are you up to? It's like, I'm not sure, because you're used to giving that away all of the
Yeah.
time. And so personal branding is really about that. To better position yourself for the things that you want, you must know who you are.
I love that. So that leads me to, we always end, that was a great way to say it. And we always end every episode with a dare. And I love the three questions as a dare, because the three questions, and if you agree, if there's a different
Yeah,
dare, you get to do it. But I thought to myself as you were
yeah,
talking, to reintroduce yourself to you is the dare, and to
yeah,
do that through Cheldin's go-to three
yeah,
questions, and share a
yeah.
little bit about how you share it with your students and
Yeah, the who you are, what you want, why you deserve it. Um,
Yep.
Again, this is just the roadmap, the little cheat sheet, right? There's a lot to us, right? You're beyond those three questions, but we want to begin and continue a conversation, right? I want you to win. I want you to feel confident, right? What you learn at orientation isn't your whole job. It's just the key things that you need to focus on, right? There's things
Right.
that aren't necessarily in the employee video or even in the handbook that you have to know. So, but these three things, just consider it your handbook. So understanding who you are. What are your life facts I love to share? These are things that make me who I am. I'm a mother. I have two young children, at least for now. They're young, God willing. They're 13 and 6, right? And so that is who I am. That's a fact. That is not to be disputed. It's not somebody's opinion. It is a fact. Again, as mentioned in my bio, I'm a former Division I athlete. I'm an immigrant from Sierra Leone. These are facts. A lot of times, especially as women, we take the facts out of it, right? And we're just focused on the product, or this is what I do as a job.
Yes.
But those facts help us get promoted, help us have conversations and form bonds with people so they remember us. Oh, she has a daughter that's 13, right? Okay. These are these memorable things that come up in conversation that allow people to connect with you.
Okay.
Also, as part of who you are, your strengths. What are you good at? Just going back to that, recognizing and understanding what you're good at, I think is super important. And in doing so, again, you can begin and continue a conversation. What do you want? What is your long-term goal? And what is your short-term goal? Oftentimes, we only pay attention to one or the other. I'm a daydreamer. Here's my long-term goal. I only focus on what I'm doing today. Here's my short-term goal. So figuring out what you want long-term so you can ensure you're doing what is necessary today in order to get there. And lastly, this is where the brag, you're
Love
boldly,
this.
right? Why do you deserve what it is that you want? Why you, right? And I think that a lot of people have a hard time with that. And one of the things that I always suggest people do, even if you're not looking for a job, create a document. Some people call it a resume, some people call it portfolio. If you're famous, it's your Wikipedia page. Create that version for yourself. There needs to be a place where your excellence and ambition lives, where you can look back and remember yourself. It's a cheat sheet. I call it, I have a brag book that is just a notebook.
Yeah.
It's just an empty notebook that when I do something awesome, I put it down so I don't forget. Because so many of us are like, moving so quickly that we forget all of the accomplishments, that how many podcasts have you done, or how many speaking engagements, or how many people have you spoken in front of? So there needs to be this point of reference that you can remember yourself, right? Not just top of mind, but you can open it when you begin to forget as part of the practice. When people begin to tell you who you are, you can be like, nope. I spoke in front of X amount of people. I've helped X amount of people. There's X amount of people in my community. I've helped X amount of empty nesters, right? You begin to remember who you are
Yes.
versus having people tell you who you are. So who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it. Those are my key kind of takeaways for people to begin to understand who they are as a personal brand, and then use those particular answers to those questions as ways for people to remember you.
I love it. That's your dare. That's your
Yeah,
dare.
that's
You're
your
going to get a
dare.
separate notebook, a totally separate journal for this, because so much is going to come up, and you might not have the. What I learned about another good friend of mine, Adina Tovel, who is the founder of something called Courage to be Curious.
Yes.
She's all about questions. You can sit with a question. You can sit with it for a little. Don't sit too long. We want you to
for
answer.
sure.
Just break. Don't think. Don't overthink. Just answer it. So, who you are, what do you want, and why you deserve it. When you did that to me, I was like, oh my God, why you? I'm like, I knew I had to answer and I was trying to elongate my answer to the second one so that you wouldn't get to like, Jody, why do you deserve it? Like, I don't want to answer that.
And it's hard. And even recognizing that you don't know is a clear step forward, right? Like, I don't know why I deserve it. Maybe that's not why, maybe that's why you're not achieving the goals, because you're not able to articulate it. Because guess what? Captain Mediocrity can articulate why they want to be hired. They can articulate why they need the account. You, in all of your excellence, and I tell my students, they have 4.0s and they can't articulate why somebody needs to hire them. That's the issue. Somebody with a 2.5, again, God bless them, can be able to articulate it, they're going to get the position. So even though you're doing all this great work, even though you yourself are so skilled, if no one knows it, no one can purchase you. No one can buy it. No one can promote you. And I think that that's, one of the key things that people forget.
Love it. I love our conversations. Always, always, always. And what I always end, and everybody knows, I'm going to say, what was it for you? And one of my members of my audience who's listening right now, what was it from this conversation that was your like, yes moment? Because my goal with starting this show was for our listeners to get one thing from every single guest on this show, because there's at least one thing in every episode that if you took that one thing and you kept writing that one thing down in a journal, you would have you'd have the answers to everything that you need, or at least the guiding concepts to get there. So what was it for you? Let us know. Leave a comment on our YouTube channel. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, drop your kind of review.
I love it.
People get freaked. I've heard from people, I don't know what to write on a review. No, just let us know what your takeaway was. I'll make sure Cheldin hears your review there. And you, as always, you could just simply send me a message. But we want you to have an aha. Remember the dare, the 3 questions. And this is Independence Day. Start today by giving yourself the gift of screaming your dream and bragging boldly, and let Cheldin know that you did it, and let me know that you did it. And then don't forget to come back next week for another brand new episode of Beyond Empty Nest. And as I always say, dare on. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. For detailed show notes and more information, be sure to visit jodysilverman.com. Have you heard of the Double Dares? Well, we're a community of moms and midlife women blending virtual and in-person interactions for connection, support, and exciting experiences. From Mommy and Me classes to soccer sidelines, moms have always found strength in community. And as we navigate the empty nest and other midlife transitions, having that go-to safe space and other women to lean on is a must. Ladies, this is not the chapter to do it alone. Our drama-free group echoes the sentiment of the Cheers theme song, a place where everybody knows your name and our troubles are all the same. If you've been seeking connection and have a desire to figure out who you are and what your purpose is now, then Moms Who Double Dare is the perfect fit for you. Only through the link in our show notes below can you explore and enjoy the first month at half off. Plus, with no contracts, There's zero risk involved. Join us today and get started on your journey of self-discovery, surrounded by new friends who understand and get you. You've sent your kids off to brave new experiences, meet new people, and discover who they get to be. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to embrace this new adventure. If you're ready to dare on, I'm here to lead the way. Let's embark on this exciting journey together. Click the link below, and as I always say, dare on.